Aloha, amigos. Can we talk about Suicide Squad now? I even made notes this time. Look at how prepared I am. Seriously, graduating has like a huge weight is lifted off my shoulders. It's good times. I keep looking this side, but I just realized I flipped my camera around so the actual it's right there, not right there. Sorry, my bad. This is going to be piggybacking a little bit off of especially Comic Book Girl 19, who is my favorite YouTuber of all time. And I just also watched Kaylee Kill's review of this movie, but I wanted to talk about what I thought about Suicide Squad 2. There are spoilers afoot. Yeah, this is now my sign for spoilers afoot. Just saying, somebody's gonna complain. Comic Book Girl 19 actually made me think about this a lot, and she said it a lot more cohesively and coherently than I probably ever could. So if you want to check out her video, I'll try to find the link and put it down below. But my biggest problem with DC films, not just this one, but just DC in general, to kind of preface this whole thing, is they don't keep it cohesive. Like with a Marvel franchise, like with the Avengers and Thor and Iron Man and Cap and all these different things, like everything is within the same universe and it all makes sense either as a standalone or tied into the overall like story arc, and the casting is all the same within reason and etc etc. And DC doesn't do that, and it's fine within its own right, especially when you go through as many reboots and stuff. But what DC is doing right now is, like, they have a whole new universe. Again, like, Batman versus Superman. So, I feel like maybe if I had watched that already, I would have liked this a little bit better, if that makes sense. But with DC movies, their casting's different. Like, how many other franchises do you know that have such a huge like actor preference for each individual character? Like, there's so many different Batmans, there's so many different Jokers, and it makes it hard to think of any of it as cohesive, even when it's kind of supposed to be, at least if you're staying true to the source material, which you don't have to. In movies, creative freedom is a thing, but it makes it harder for me to stay invested. So, and the plot is all the way across the board. Like, Batman Beyond, and so like Keaton Batman and all of that, like that time frame was super, not slapstick, but over the top superhero. And then you switch over to the Dark Knight and everything's super dark and gritty and urban and raw. And then you have this one where he's like suave businessman style, and I don't know. So, plot wise, all I'm gonna say about this is the big green swirl of doom needs to be its own trope at this point. Like, there's nothing wrong with having superhuman entities, and especially anything with a magic tinge to it, like being build the thing, kill the humans, destroy the world. Like, I feel like we can go deeper than that. I keep using the phrase easier to digest, but it, you know what I mean, in process as a, like, in a big screen format, but there's so many other things that they could do with it to make the movie so much more interesting, and I feel like it wouldn't take very much additional work in screenwriting than what they're already doing, and it'll be just as fine for the people who aren't comic book fans, who are just seeing it as a summer movie and not as a fandom thing. So I don't know about you guys, but I had totally called Enchantress as the big bad from like the first trailer. I think it was the fact that like when you had all the squad lined up, Enchantress wasn't included in it except for maybe one or two promotional images. They made it pretty damn clear right off the bat that they love Enchantress. Like, she, out of the squad, she is my favorite. But I wanted to see more of her, and I know I'm not alone in this. I know that Kaylee was saying the same thing. She had the highest potential of the team. Like, I would have loved if we had seen like montage or something like that of them doing a few things right, like little, as much as the Suicide Squad does little, few things that went right before she flipped. So you could see that she was their wild card. She was the max level, like when everybody else couldn't do it, she could. And I feel like them just jumping straight in from the squad is together to Enchantress done fucked everything up. There's a lot in between that could have been done. The plot just felt a little strange too, because I felt like it was just oddly paced in general. I can't really pinpoint where exactly it was. If you have an opinion on this, I would love to hear it, because I can't quite put my finger on where the pacing is weird. I know that part of it was the Enchantress thing, and part of it was like it was very rushed in the beginning up until she, like, her brother, like, gave her the power, so she, like, awoke, or whatever you want to say. Up until that point, it just seemed very rushed and very staggered. Like, they were missing, like, big chunks. Another thing, plot-wise, was I'm not 100% familiar with the comics of this one. I am more of a Marvel fan generally than a DC fan. And I know Slipknot dies in the comics, but that was really fast. Like, he literally, like what Kaylee was saying, he punched a guy and then his head blew up. That's basically all he did. Going back to the thing with Enchantress, I feel like his character would have also really benefited from something like a montage of things going well and missions succeeded and etc., etc., and then all of them would have had more character development. And I feel like Slipknot and Enchantress were the ones that really needed that the most. Actually, the one thing that I do have to say that I loved about it was the casting in general was absolutely perfect. Like, absolutely. I could think of no one better for any of it. And as a Harley, like, I'm gonna get shot for saying this, but I don't like Harley Quinn as a character. That's the thing. People have their preferences. That's fine. But as somebody who hates Harley, I really, really liked Margot Robbie as Harley. She did a fantastic job. That was the most tolerable version of Harley that I have ever found, so that should say something. Going back to the whole Joker and Harley thing, I won't go on a super tangent on this. I liked that... liked is such a weird word in this situation. I liked that the abuse within their relationship was a little bit more covert, because I know for a fact that they wouldn't have been able to get away with, or even if they could get away with, they wouldn't want to put the overt physical abuse that the Joker put Harley through the comics and the slapstick stuff, and it's all fun and games, but it's somebody being abused by their significant other. And it's Stockholm Syndrome, and it's crazy. Literally. Pun intended. Not really at all. So the abuse is more covert. He seems perfect and loving, and the whole movie is him trying to get her back sort of thing, but she screams, "I can't swim," and he abandons her in the sinking car. He was not going to jump in after her in that vat of chemicals. One thing that I did want to mention though is I remember an article going around a couple of weeks ago before the movie even came out about how somebody was really disliking the fact that all we saw from the trailer was Harley being lifted out of the vat by the Joker, and it said that it basically takes away her choice in the matter of becoming Harley Quinn. I like how they actually ended up doing that in the movie, because she did jump in willingly. That is kind of a non-issue, even though I did really appreciate the article when it came out and we didn't know yet. One thing about the casting, sorry, kind of backtracking a little bit, was I adore Jared Leto. Like, I love him. Like, 30 Seconds to Mars is my favorite band of all time, hands down, and like, he's so phenomenal. But method acting, the way that it's been reported that he did, is just... not to knock on him as an actor, because he's a fantastic actor. Like, I really liked this modern, urban interpretation of the Joker, ignoring the fact that I feel like Heath Ledger's Joker was probably the pinnacle. Like, I like it. I really like what they've done with every interpretation. Do I wish it was more cohesive? Rewinding 10 minutes? Yeah. But for what they did, I really enjoyed it. However, the method acting that's been reported is just, I don't see a need for it. If other people I can understand if method acting is your jam, but if other people can get into character without sending your coworkers like used condoms and dead animals and things like that, I feel like that's just, if it's a prank, if it's an on-screen gag, if it's you messing around with your co-stars, sure, I guess, but it seems a little much. And by a little, I mean a lot. And by a lot, I mean what the fuck. Why? There's a color. Oh no. To put it simply, so here's the bar that's been set by Marvel movies. And when you think superhero movies lately, you just think Marvel movies. Let's be realistic here. DC just hasn't been on it since like the previous Batman movies. So here's the bar that Marvel set, and here's like where DC movies are. So Suicide Squad is probably like right here in the middle. So compared to a Marvel movie, you're really not impressed. But compared to a normal DC movie, it's pretty damn good. I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I really enjoyed the character design. I wish we had more Katana. Same exact problem as Slipknot and Enchantress. Just give them more, please. It's hard to have a all-star cast and not have people like overshadow, and of course here it was Deadshot and Harley. I feel like everybody just needed a little bit more so you actually gave a shit about the characters, you know? That's actually all the notes that I have written down, so I'm gonna try to trim down this video and get it in a more digestible format, since apparently that's my phrase of the day. And I would love to know what you guys thought. I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you have a super fantastic day. Your hair looks awesome, and let's go watch some more movies. Ooh, can we talk about Star Trek next?